Hey everybody, Tyler with IGN here, this time to talk to you about sieges in Total War Attila. Sieges are some of the most exciting battles within Total War, but it's easy to get distracted by all those flashy explosions and lose a settlement or two. So we're here to talk strategy, offense and defense, and give you a breakdown of what could win or lose that siege assault. Prior to fighting a siege, like any battle, it's good to know the battlefield layout. If possible, you also want to know what sort of units the enemy has, or how skilled their general may be. With that info in mind, it's on to building your army. Attackers are going to find that a lot of melee infantry will prove useful. Archers and cavalry are good at drawing out defenders, but are more important once the walls have fallen. Melee infantry are all around better at fighting in extended battles atop the walls. It's important that you have a lot of different siege weapons to maximize breach points, especially in a large city. Defenders are going to want a lot of missile infantry with a good variety. Eliminating enemy siege weapons and melee infantry before they reach the walls should be your highest priority. Heavy melee infantry and cavalry can save you in dire circumstances. Have your missile infantry focused around choke points, with heavy melee infantry nearby to repel ladders or towers. Barricades are huge if you aren't confident in holding the walls, and deployable traps are important at keeping the enemy where you want them. In naval assaults, it's important to win the battle at sea early and barrage the enemy settlement. This will require large numbers of missile, artillery, and fire ships to defend your melee ships. Every one sunk is another breach point lost. For defenders, the opposite is true. Your ships are just another wall for your settlement, totally expendable. Melee and fire ships are extremely effective, but artillery and archers are great for getting a lot of ships burning in a short time. At the onset of the battle, you should focus on having your artillery destroy high-priority targets such as towers, gates, or concentrated infantry. Don't send your infantry or rams at the gates right away. Wait until you've worn down their missile infantry first before risking any of the lives of your men. Send your siege towers and ladders to undefended sections of the wall. Once you've created a breach, you will want to send men in to reinforce it, but you should also continue to create new breaches. Neutralizing towers is also important during this phase of the battle. Just like the attacker, your priorities at the beginning should be focusing enemy assets like rams, siege towers, and artillery. If their infantry expose themselves early, rip them apart using any crossbows you may have. Your missile units should be using flaming ammunition during the initial approach, as destroying the enemy's siege weapons will be a force multiplier for your defense. As the enemy reaches the walls, it's important to pull back or reposition archers and fill any breaches with spearmen or heavy infantry. Attackers in naval combat should be attempting to bring down any major threats to their navy early on. Softening any fortified beaches with archer or artillery ships will significantly improve the effectiveness of your marines. Defenders should be sending their marines forward early to delay or halt the enemy navy. Again, these ships are just another wall for the settlement. In dire circumstances, they are totally expendable. Crash your ramming and melee ships into the enemy fleet and light them all ablaze. Destroying enemy missile ships will render their landing practically useless if your beaches are well defended. Once the walls are down, you will want to secure any surviving towers as quickly as possible and consolidate your forces in that area. It is during this phase of the battle that cavalry and archers are most effective. While the objective of a siege is capturing the city, it's usually best to utterly crush your enemy as soon as they abandon the walls, so an aggressive approach is often the best one. On the contrary, if the walls cannot be held, it is important to acknowledge that fact early enough that you don't lose all your men for nothing. Barricades are extremely important in late stages of the battle, and protecting remaining missile infantry should be top priority. In the absence of barricades, utilize narrow streets to keep your enemies in tight formations. Keeping your units in a cohesive force near the city center is a popular strategy, as it reduces the chances of your last men abandoning the settlement. Landing ships can be extremely effective at capitalizing on the enemy's weak points and infiltrating the settlement while the walls are still contested. Be sure that you are consolidating your marines once they have taken a beach, as isolated units can be torn apart quickly by a response force. Defenders, on the other hand, are going to want to isolate and destroy any successful landing groups before they can link up with one another. The faster you can rout marines, the better, as they are the only naval units capable of taking a beach by force, and the enemy needs troops ashore if they are to take your settlement. In sieges, it's important that your missile units, particularly artillery, are maximizing their usefulness early in the battle. Using barrage early is worth the fatigue, and precision shot can be massive if any of the enemy's particularly valuable units expose themselves. During naval sieges, it's important that you don't land your marines too early onto a fortified beachhead. Missile ships can resupply their ammunition indefinitely, making them extremely useful at peppering a settlement before the ships land. It's important to remember which units are still useful in a battle and which are expendable. Light melee infantry or depleted missile units could draw fire away from your siege towers or buy your archers precious time. Never underestimate the effectiveness of a well-timed sally. Are the enemy low on spearmen? A single unit of shock cavalry can wreak havoc in the enemy's backline and return quickly through an uncontested gate or breach. Attila introduced an exciting new tactic in siege assaults called settlement destruction. Instead of simply capturing a settlement, lay waste to it and demoralize the defenders. For defenders, this is just another reason to destroy the enemy's artillery as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching, and for more news about Attila, stay tuned to IGN.